If you've looked at ArkansasRazorbacks.com over the last few months, you might have read some Razorback Road columns written by Kevin Trainor. He is Senior Associate Athletic Director in charge of public relations and former student-athlete engagement for Arkansas Athletics, and he joins us on halftime right now. KT, it's good to talk to you, man. How are you?
Yeah, glad to be with you guys.
Absolutely. So where did the idea for Razorback Road come from? Because I don't think you were writing this before the pandemic, or am I wrong?
Well, you know, it's something that I dabbled with a little bit a few years ago, but certainly when the pandemic came and there was kind of a stalemate of all the sports that all of us love, and especially Razorback sports, it felt like a good time to try to relive some memories and go back in some history. You know, one thing that Arkansas fans love is our history and our tradition, and so it was an opportunity to kind of really relive some of those moments and hopefully bring back some great memories for people that lived through it and educate folks that are just coming on the Razorback bandwagon, if you will, in the last couple of decades.
Well, and your most recent column tells, I mean, I don't know how to rank things, but certainly one of the most important moments and stories in Arkansas athletics history, and maybe even college athletics history, with what happened in the last 30 years and a lot of movement from conference to conference. And it seems to have started with Arkansas's move from the Southwest Conference to the SEC. But there's still a lot of people, you know, I mean, it's 30 years. All they know is Arkansas in the SEC, and they've only heard about what the Southwest Conference was like. So it just, I wasn't around here when that happened. The atmosphere around the state when the switch was made, was it one of excitement? Was it one of fear? Was it one of anger? What was the general consensus around the move to the SEC when it happened in 1990?
Well, Phil, I think you could say it's a little bit of all of those things. When you've been a part of something for so long, at that time, Arkansas had been part of the Southwest Conference for 75 years. And so it's hard to imagine a new reality in another conference. It had been such a signature. And the Southwest Conference had been good to Arkansas. Arkansas had been even better than the Southwest Conference. And so you have the promise of a new league in the SEC. And certainly, again, the SEC wasn't what it is today, but it did appear to be the future. And I think one thing that gets overlooked is you hear a lot of folks, talk about, well, should Arkansas be in the Big 12 or that sort of thing. At that time, there wasn't a Big 12. It was the Big 8 and the Southwest Conference. And I think what Frank Broyles and other leaders at the time, Chancellor Ferreter, Bev Lewis, saw was an opportunity to get out ahead of the curve. There was no guarantee that Arkansas was going to be a part of any expansion plans in other conferences. So not only did Arkansas get out in front of everyone, they jumped into a Cadillac and a conference in the SEC.
Well, it takes boldness and I think a vision. And I've heard the word vision so often used about people like Mike Slive, about Roy Kramer, and certainly Frank had to have in his mind a vision of what the SEC could look like and what it means to what Arkansas could look like. And I just have a sense from talking to you about him and from a lot of other people that one of the big strengths for Frank Broyles was his ability to look into the future as to what somebody could accomplish or what his athletic department could accomplish or what the league could accomplish. And I think Frank Broyles, just one of the things he really had a lot of was a lot of really wise vision. That's what this move seemed to be all about.
Well, that certainly was one of his defining traits. And as we approach Saturday, August 1st, will be the 30th anniversary of when Arkansas accepted the invitation in a meeting here in Fayetteville to join the SEC. But as part of that, I had a chance to visit with Commissioner Kramer and Chancellor Ferreter and others in preparation for a Zoom call we're going to do on Thursday night, which is open to all Razorback fans, to talk about that. And they talk about Coach Broyles' vision and his ability to see 4 or 5 steps down the road and not just see what's in front of him at the time and what was in front of Arkansas. He was positioning Arkansas for the next 3 to 4 decades to come. And so to have that ability to look forward and the courageousness to move forward and be in position to act quickly, The crazy thing about Arkansas to the SEC, this really only took this process only took about 2 months. And think about that: how many times we've heard different conferences talk about schools or Notre Dame going into a conference, et cetera, and how many months and years that took over. Really, from the time the SEC announced intention to expand to Arkansas joining was a little over 2 months, and that's remarkable. And that's a testament to the leadership, not only of Coach Broyles, but Chancellor Fariner, Bev Lewis, and everyone else, the University Board of Trustees, to be able to act quickly and take advantage of this huge opportunity afforded the University of Arkansas.
Speaking to Kevin Trainor here on Halftime, is there anything in the process of writing this? I mean, you're all things Arkansas Razorbacks. Is there anything about this when you put this article together, which was incredible, by the way, first off, I want to say that. Was there anything that you learned in this process of writing this that you didn't know previously?
Well, you hear bits and pieces of it. Certainly, I had a chance to listen to Coach Broyles describe it, a chance to listen to others describe it, and I think it was just really what I just mentioned, the ability for it to happen so quickly. Major decisions take a while, and there's a lot to think about. But this was something that I think because of Arkansas's positioning, because they had in their mind they were ready to go and look at new opportunities, it's something that came together quickly. But, one of the stories that Commissioner Kramer tells is a meeting that he had with Frank Broyles and Chancellor Fariner and Al Whitty, who was a longtime faculty rep here at the University of Arkansas. They met in a motel outside of Memphis for a little bit of a clandestine meeting. And so just hearing some of the details of those stories and how some of those discussions began were really fascinating to hear. And it's something that you'll hear a little bit more about over the deal. So it was fun to go back down memory lane, hear some of the behind-the-scenes stories that happened and how perhaps it happened in the early 90s and how different that would have been if it happened in today's climate with social media and all the interest in that.
I think what's crazy to me, too, when you look back on it, we played a little bit of the sound on the Morning Rush this morning of Frank Broyles and Paul Eels on the little KETV special that they had, or not even the special, just it was statewide news. I mean, everything that was happening from what I've read and just kind of researched and watched, that was statewide news, which obviously it's statewide news, but you don't see that very often where this big of a move garnered literally every television station, radio station's attention back in the 90s when this happened. So I just thought it was really interesting and to see those two legends being Paul Eels and Frank Broyles just sitting there talking about the future of the Arkansas Razorbacks was incredible to see.
It really, as you mentioned, it really gripped the state. I mean, it was everyone thought Dallas was the ultimate cliffhanger. The Arkansas to the SEC was the ultimate cliffhanger in the early 90s in this state. And so everyone wanted to know. They all had their feelings. Certainly everyone felt a little slighted by the Southwest Conference, being the only school not in the state of Texas. There were some inequities there that led to Arkansas looking to leave, and certainly the ultimate demise of the Southwest Conference was starting to show a little bit in that time. But even so, even with that and the promise of the SEC, there was some separation anxiety. I mean, how would Arkansas fare in the conference? What would it take to win? And I think one of the misconceptions about Arkansas and the SEC is that it hasn't been a successful run. And when you look across over 140 championships in the SEC, and when you think about there was the early success by Arkansas when they entered the SEC. Coach Richardson had the men's basketball team, beating Kentucky in Rupp Arena, which just did not happen in those days. You had certainly the men's and women's track and field teams coming in, and I'm sure the men's track coaches in the league weren't too happy to see John McDonnell roll into the conference meetings. And then across the board, Arkansas was the first team other than Alabama and Florida to play in the SEC football championship game. And you could probably win some trivia bets with that one. So Arkansas not only came into the SEC and joined, they came in and competed and won championships early in that tenure.
Just a couple more minutes here with Kevin Trainor. Kevin, I loved the piece that you titled Pay-Per Who. Which I think told the story of some of the pay-per-view games and how they were allowed or not allowed. to broadcast back to the visiting team's fan base, and you told the story about South Florida, I think USF, and a really funny story involving Frank Broyles. But, the thing that I take from that column is I kind of wonder how many times since that column came out has somebody referred to you as Mr. Pig Boy, because that was the part of the column that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, I knew when I put that in there that I might have inadvertently created a nickname for myself. But, clearly over the years, we've made lots of decisions here at the university. Some have been popular, some have not been. And the great thing about passionate fans of any school is they are more than willing to express those opinions. So that was a memorable one. Anytime start an email off with "Dear Mr. Pig Boy," it gets your attention. So I guess that was kind of before the message board era. They were still trying to be as formalized as you would in a letter, but passions run deep and they're in long, and we would much rather have the passion of fans, both Razorback fans and of other schools, be that way. And I think we all look forward to getting back to some of those seemingly at the time meaningful arguments and tasks rather than what we're facing at the moment.
That's right. I put Mr. Pig Boy up there with what I heard a ball player call Bill Valentine once, which was Onion Head, and I thought those were just really good visuals. I want to finish off just on a thought about Arkansas baseball, which, I mean, you're a part of all the teams on campus, but I think you've probably been most closely connected to the baseball program during your time there. And you're a utility guy. I think I was going through like the jobs that I at least know that you have performed at Razorback baseball games, and you are super utility guy. So I've got you as you've done the radio broadcast, sports information, official scorer. You've sung the anthem. You've done the seventh inning stretch. You've been the PA announcer. You've done the press conference mediation. I guess all you haven't done, KT, is bat cleanup and play first base.
Well, yeah, I'm more of a defensive replacement, I think, as far as on the field. But no, it's been a pleasure to be a part of the program. First, working with Coach DeBryan for a number of years, and then seeing it, and now in my role as a sport administrator to be there and work with Coach Van Horn, his staff, and it's just a special place. Again, it's the fan base for Razorback baseball is so loyal. They're so dedicated, and it's there's not a day that I go by, whether at another Razorback event, and someone always says, "I can't wait until baseball." And it's the love that we all have. I look back at it, as I said, I don't think I've coached third base. I don't think I'll do that anytime soon either. But pretty much everything else at first George Cole and now Baum-Walker Stadium, I've had a chance to be a part of. But it's something I look forward to every year. Certainly we got cut short this past spring, but it's one of those moments that when it comes around every February, you look forward to it and look forward to getting back out there again.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it again, KT. Wouldn't be Razorback baseball without you. I don't think there'd be Razorbacks without you. So
amen to that.
I appreciate traveling around with you and everything that you've done for me and the university and the fan base, and really appreciate you coming on, talking with us about this. Look forward to reading more Razorback Road columns in the near future.
Guys, thanks for having me on, and we look forward to getting the Razorbacks out there to compete soon.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely. Kevin Trainor from the University of Arkansas. I mean, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for the baseball program.
Everybody needs one.
You do. In baseball, you've got to have somebody that's able to do everything. And, I mean, at any one game, Kevin might sing the anthem, do some public address, and put together like the procedures for what it would be like when Arkansas hosts the regionals at Baum Stadium. So one of the more important people on campus in that entire Trainor family. I mean, Kendall played baseball and football. He was a kicker for football. So they're one of the first families of Razorback sports, no doubt. Coming back, closing out the show, cherry on the top, Get Off My Lawn.